Yo, yo, yo. What is up? This is I Hate My Kids, an unserious podcast for a serious subject. I'm your host, Joseph Carter Brown. Thank you for listening. Today, I have with me my man,
Michelle Fantastic, better known as Lynn, of the Fresh Delivery Show and the Dirty 30 podcast.
Yeah, so Lynn and I have done a lot of things together. We've done some podcasts, as you mentioned, the Dirty 30 podcast, which was a lot of fun. That was we can still find those episodes, right?
Yeah, that episode's still, I don't know how much they circulate, but they're out there. Fresh Delivery Show first started off a lot about, mental health and then kind of just updates on what's going on in the news and just taking our spin on it based on the area we're from, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And then it branched off into like a little bit of politics and kind of just recognizing some of the people in the community, like kind of interviewing guests and stuff. Then Dirty 30 became about mental health awareness and then eventually turned into a food podcast.
Yeah, man, you do love some good food. Have you been in any good spots lately? I don't know. Maybe we don't give anybody any free advertising.
I wouldn't say. Yeah, I did try something new. A spot in DC. It's definitely not commercial. It looks like a mom and pop spot. Very, very cool, trendy restaurant. You walk in, all bricks. Looks like something out of like a jazz club out of Chicago. Like brick walls. Cool. And it's got like a blue spotlight. So the blue spotlight just shines on everybody. So you kind of look like a different tent. And they got a jazz band playing. And
nice.
It's like American food.
Sounds like Smooth Criminal.
Yeah, it's some soul food. Their fried catfish is fire. Their food's pretty good.
Nice.
Good place to take a date.
Nice. All right, we're gonna have to tell me what this place is off the recording, so that hey, we would have put you in the podcast, but you're not a sponsor. It can be a strong arm tactic.
But hey, we could make a conversation and they give us the okay and they kind of take care of us. We can keep that same description and just add the name of the restaurant there.
Right? We could just use AI to plug it in.
What's funny is that when I talk to the younger generation people now, I tell them this is Skynet. Like, what's that? I'm like, you've never seen Terminator? It started off as like an AI technology. and it just grew on its own. And you think about it, we got on service for purchasing, and then eventually we're going to have robots like androids walking around doing our laundry and stuff.
Right. I know. I read this book called The Age of Spiritual Machines by Ray Kurzweil, and he's kind of talking about this idea of how it's kind of science fiction, but also just science and computer science. But it starts talking about how at some point artificial intelligence will exceed, or machines will exceed, human intelligence, and then convince humans that they are alive. And then it becomes this whole moral dilemma that they have as to, who gets to be conscious in this definition. And so, it's just an interesting thing. And every now and then when I see some of the AI stuff that's happening, I'm just like, feels like that book.
Right. Think about it. We have, Siri, we got Alexa, we got Google. That's our Jarvis to Iron Man. You know what I mean? That's our Jarvis. That's our Monday for Iron Man.
So you mentioned talking to the younger generation, and you work a lot with younger generations. One of your big things is coaching. So how's the team? How's this basketball season? Are you watching anything in March Madness or NBA?
March Madness, no. I just haven't had a time. I haven't looked at their highlights. I do watch NBA highlights where they take, how they take a full 48-minute game and they condense it down to 60 minutes. So I'll watch stuff like that, and I watch player specific. So I haven't really watched. Typically, I watch during the playoff time for NBA. College basketball, I would only watch specific games. Kids that I've coached that are playing D1, I'll make time to watch it. D2, I'll watch their games when it's online. March Madness, I completely forgot to do the bracket. I was so busy, man. As soon as my basketball season ended, I was like, woo, let me rest. I don't want to watch anything. I want to watch like SpongeBob or like, I don't know, watch the
Right.
Avengers. Just watch something that's
Yeah.
not sports related for a little bit.
And you coach
Varsity high school basketball, yeah.
yeah, man. Well, you obviously have a lot of experience with a lot of other people's kids and coaching them. Let's talk a little bit about your kid. So you have one kid. Why don't you introduce them a little bit to us?
I got one kid, in full disclosure and all that security stuff. She's between the age of 9 and 12.
Okay.
Star athlete, AB student, but more A's. Very popular, very social, but very emotionally mature. She is a lot like me. She wants to win.
Okay.
So she's very competitive, and because she is kind of like me, like slightly a little sensitive in some areas. So she's like, oh, like it drives you nuts, right? So
Yeah.
I see that in her. I like that a lot. However, she has the one thing I hate. All right, you ready? Name of the show, right?
All right.
Is that she's like LeBron, and I have to use that. She is so
You
gifted
love
that
bringing LeBron.
Yeah, man. That she's so good. She's so good, but she doesn't train.
Okay.
Like, come
okay.
on. Like, but when I seen her train though, and one of them was when I trained her, the results was very like a big leap on the chart.
Okay.
Like, let's say for example, she's a natural 7 without even trying. She can compete with an 8, 9s, and 10s, but she's just way better than anyone underneath her, right?
Yeah.
And training her in specific things, she would go from like a 7 to like a 9.5, real quick, like that big of a jump on a chart.
Right.
And I was just like, holy crap, right? The discipline side of it, But also, I do feel she kind of aged out based off skill level in the bracket.
Yeah,
like she outshined everyone.
Yeah, so you mentioned that she's like you, maybe the best way, but where do you think it's a bad thing at times that she's like you, and do you see that even in this scenario?
All right, so the competitiveness to want to win against whoever you're playing against, right? And the thirst of knowledge of wanting to learn. However, the negative side of that is you can only do so much in very little time. Like, you got to be patient with it. I'm not patient, and she's not either. So that's the negative trait, that we rush through what we can do, and then we think that's it, and we try to maximize it. So, like, the natural gift of the positive is we can adapt to what we already have and make the best of it. But there's so much more, but we're not patient because we want to hurry up and win now.
Okay, so quick to just be to the winner circle, that I guess missed one of the things that are on the journey.
Let's make this into a positive way of saying it. Very, very overly passionate.
Nah, man, we're talking shit. We are talking shit about our kids. Like, nah, man.
Okay, to some other people, all right, we can talk about it. To some people, it look like obsessive compulsive. Like, you're obsessed. You're too pushy.
Right. Okay.
Right. To the other person, it's just like, damn, you just really love what you're doing. You just want to win at it. So it's all about interpretation.
Right. But I mean, yeah.
But I accept both. That's why I can say I can see both sides. So I can see it's a good and a bad thing. So So what I'm trying to do with her is to create the discipline, but I want her to learn how to do it on her own. I didn't figure out my discipline until I was like freaking 20.
Right.
So I was older.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, there's so many things where I feel like with my daughter, I'm trying to tell her things not because like I don't think she's capable, but because I know how long it took me to get to certain places. I was like, just get there a little bit quicker. So I can totally feel that like impatience and being almost frustrated in the same way, because of the way you're like looking at yourself going like, come on, man. Like, you could have just gotten there a little bit quicker. But, you mentioned kind of that restraint and like not pushing her in a certain way, just letting her kind of grow on her own, or maybe like your own discipline in it. How do you see your parenting style maybe differing from your parents and their parenting style, and like what you show those restraints in, or yeah, what's that like for you?
So this is one thing we have to recognize first. The generations are completely different, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So you have to look at it based off the time, the generation. So let's say I'm the middle generation, you got my kids' generation, and you got my parents' generation, right? So it's technically on the main story, on the three parts of the story. How I grew up, how I am, raising my kids, and then how I am raising my kid that has kids, like grandparents or whatever.
Right.
Also, we can look at it as, for us, our generation. We grew up in a generation where information started to become an abundance, right?
Right.
So because of that, we're learning to be hungry, because now we're like, ooh, this is cool. This is different. This is different from the other stuff I'm doing as a kid growing up. Just speaking very generally, right? Now let's look at our kids. That information is already set.
Right.
So the moment they're born,
search for it, it's right in front of them.
Right. They have everything. So just think from that perspective. Now go to my parents with us growing up as little kids. We didn't have information at all.
There's no information, right?
Our only information was school and the newspaper and magazines and the news, and that's it. And the news wasn't even. It's not what it is now with YouTube, Instagram, TikTok.
Right.
We're an information. Right. So the disciplinary was different, right? Because back in the day, our parents raising us, kind of going to teenagers, we had a plot in getting out. Now, these kids, it's easy for them to get out because they have so much access, so many different excuses. Technology is available, communication is more available. That's what makes it different. So
yeah.
To kind of answer that,
I mean, there's no parenting book back then, right?
Right. So what I try to do with my kid that's different than my parents, I try to put myself in their shoes. And the reason why I feel what makes it different is with our age bracket, like you and I, 30s, 40s, right? We're still hip and young to all the stuff that's out because our generation is what creates theirs right now. If you really think about it. Versus our parents' generation didn't grow to ours. There's a gap somewhere and it just changed. And then on top of that, we grew up with the technology that lost them into Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and all that stuff. While these kids already in it. They don't understand what DSL is. You know what I mean? They don't understand what a digital subscriber line is. So,
man, that is true too, man. Because that blows my mind. There's times where, me and my daughter built a damn computer, and she'll be asking me questions like, "How the hell do you not know how your computer works?" And it's because it's all just so easily right there. And I'm like, oh, I had to dig for this information, And so we ushered in a lot of that media. I mean, hell, Zuckerberg is our age, right? So, which I guess in some ways sad, but so we definitely had we were the originators of a lot of the things they're benefiting from, and now we're seeing them kind of having it, and there's almost this jealousy in some ways, but also a little bit of just being, like you said, wise to the game.
Right. So, and the thing about it is, it's the same thing for us as parents. The information, if we need to learn our kids, if we don't understand them, we can just type in what they're doing online.
Right.
And it gives us the videos and examples of it. You know what I mean?
That
all
is
different
true.
types, different age, different races, different cultural backgrounds, different financial backgrounds and how people live, economic status, different subculture groups like hip hop heads and maybe goth people,
right?
Emo kids. So we have access to that too. So it almost makes our discipline very. We get it, but we don't know how to communicate it because we have the technology that separates us.
Right.
So
no, that's 100% true, man. So all right, so let's jump all the way back. When you found out you were gonna be a father, what did you imagine it would be like? And well, actually, let's switch that up. how does it differ than what you imagine it would be?
So the age I had my daughter was like the early 30s, right? And I've already been around babies. So my sister had her kids, and I was close with her kids. Like, I helped raise them. So I was used to like changing diapers and holding on to kids for long periods of time, seeing them grow into little people. So when I had my kid, it was just kind of like, oh, this is for real. Like, that's it. Like, there's no other like pretty, like, this is it. Like, I have to watch this being grow and raise it, right? Because it's my child. So
Right.
because I've been a shared custody and I have a good relationship with my daughter's mom, I was just eager to see her more often. And every day she grew. You're just like, ooh, you get bigger. Oh, there's more facial reactions. There's more, movement, more kinesthetic, like hand, like fine motor movement. Like, you start seeing more and more of it, and then you start seeing more of the emotions, and then, then when you get your first hug, like, they grab you, like, oh, that feels so good. So
Yeah.
I didn't predict nothing. It was just kind of like, oh, it's like a reality check. Like, this is your responsibility now. Like, be the best version as you can of it. Like, still be you, but try to be better. Try to prevent the things that didn't do well with you and your parents.
Yeah, no, for sure. So how when you say it kind of force you to be better, because I totally feel that, and I think that's where it's almost like there's no hiding from your kids either, where my daughter is such a reflection of me that there's times where I'm like fucking pissed at her about something, and then I'll look at it and be like, damn it, I did the same thing. Like, fuck it. Like, I'd be just so mad. And I get mad at myself because I'm like, God damn it. Like, come on, Joe. So it's almost like you can't really hide from them. And maybe with other people, you might just walk away, right? And not deal with them. But it's your kids. So you have to almost learn to evolve and change yourself for them. So, like, how did that kind of force you to evolve and change, and what was the growth that your daughter forced out of you?
Wow, that's a processing. I might need you to ask that question one more time.
Okay.
Break that down one more time.
Basically, how has being a parent forced you to change or evolve?
Okay, so let's talk about a daily basis, right? I think what makes it change is the structure and time of what you do, right? Like, before I had a kid, I had more free time to do whatever I wanted to do, right? And financially, that money was more independently set for me as a single person.
Yeah.
Now that I have a child, the finances are down because of investing into my child's life. So that's one. So that changes things. That also changes the structure of what also other things I do. Stuff for my health, stuff for my entertainment, where I want to put my time, the time that I put in my child,
Right.
And so the structure and time is what changes everything. I think that's the most important part that people need to understand. So, there's a lot of good parents out there, and I see a lot of parents that, could do better. I would never fully judge them unless they're like beating the shit out of their kids. Let's be real. Like, people are like, the kid's not bad, it's just bad behavior. Nah, sometimes some kids are bad. Like, let's just be real.
I mean, sometimes there's some badass kids out there.
But then when you see their parents and they're just bad parents, you're like, damn, they both deserve to get their ass kicked. but only if they're criminals.
Right. But I mean, and I think that's the funny, that's like the scary part. I think for me with being a dad is like, I have those, like you say, you see somebody and be like, oh yeah, that's a good or a bad parent. And there's definitely times where I feel like I've had bad dad moments and I'm just like, ooh. I got to catch myself here. Do you ever have any bad dad moments?
Oh yeah, if I'm like irritated, and I want to say stuff, short fuse, like you should say something, like when the kid talks back, I'm like, what? What'd you say? Right. But also at the same time, I gotta remember, I did that to my parents too. So I do try to approach it differently. So if she does catch an attitude, I just look at her and just like, really, man? Is that what you're gonna say? Like, you gonna be really that mean, that disrespectful? I give her a second to readjust, and 9 out of 10 times she doesn't adjust. She's like,
yeah.
And then she says it differently. So I mean, I feel like I make it more of a teachable moment. Now it was like my parents back in the day, be like, like a smack to the face. Like,
right?
Like, really, you talking back? Like you want the slipper in your face? Like, damn.
Right. I know, man. I once had to. It's that, like you said, that patience and learning to manage time. And for me, I'm gonna take that as patience, because it is definitely that ability to like keep yourself reserved for the exact same reason. I once had to tell my daughter, because she was just talking back and we were going back and forth. And I'm cool with it at times, but she was just relentless. And I just like, this is a bad dad moment. I'll say it. But I looked at her and I said, hey, it was like, at this point, I would have already had my ass beat. It's like, I just want you to know. And I was like, I just want you to know right now that you are pushing at a level where I am showing a lot of restraint. I just need you to stop. And, and she, it was one of those things where she was like, okay, I get it. And she understood that boundary. But, I see that as a bit of a win from, like you said, the way I would already had been like slapped upside the head or something by, like 5 minutes ago in that conversation,
Right. Check this out. I got something for you. So let's talk about consequences, right? About discipline, right? So I can share back in the day as a kid, I was naughty. I got spanked, I got back in the butt.
Naughty.
Yeah, like, when you're bad, you bad.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, man. My bad, no diddy. But like, you bad kid, get spanked, whatever. Now, my parents evolved with the times. You see what I'm saying? Remember how I was talking about like the 3 sets of generations, like me growing up as a kid, me being an adult, kind of learning how to raise a kid, and then me being like a grandparent. So me as a kid, they would, spank you or whatever. Or I don't know if this happened to you, but I've done it to my kids too. You put kids in timeout, right?
Right.
So as I got older, they couldn't discipline me. They couldn't spank me because I was bigger and I was stronger. You know what they did? Yeah. They put the club on my steering wheel. You know what the club is?
I remember the club for sure.
So for those listening out there, y'all might be a little bit younger or even older, but the club is this metal security device that you put on your steering wheel, and it's a lock. So that way you can't turn the steering wheel. So if you try to steal the car, you can't turn the steering wheel. So my parents, instead of spanking me, they evolved with the times. They knew that would stop me.
Locked up the car.
Right. Yeah. So think about it. Now us as parents, what we do with our kids, give me your phone.
Right.
Give me your tech. Give me your technology. Yeah, like, oh my God! You fucking piece of shit! I hate you! I don't ever want to be in this household! You are worse than the devil!
See, that's why.
My kid doesn't do that. These are the kids I see. The stuck-up kids.
But yeah, right. See, I was a little nerd kid, so my parents started hiding my video game controllers. So that was my punishment, and that got me to act right, like quick, like act right or learn how to like find things. I was a good detective.
I grew up. We didn't have video games. We didn't have money. little different lifestyle growing up for me.
Right. All right. So, you kind of touched on some when you were talking about just kind of finding out you were going to be a father and understanding the responsibility, but also, kind of creating this space for another person. So one of the things I think is that it can be a little bit different. This is an assumption, but I know for me it was a little bit different in how, I guess I would describe it as like falling in love with your kid, where you're just like head over heels. My ex-wife, when my daughter was born, I think it was like they had such a connection. And I think that there was just this intrinsic bond that they had, mother and child, just because of the biology of it, right? And I think for me, my love was always there, but I think I felt it maybe grow in a way that I feel like is maybe different. And I could be wrong there, but like for you, what was that like falling in love process like for you? Was it like, there she is and oh my God, I can't believe it? Or was it something that you had to like learn this person a little more and grow in that way?
The love for my child constantly grows, even with the bads. If that's being transparent about it. Everyone wants to talk about the good, but then you got the bad days too.
Right,
but
for sure.
I love that process. So I love my child the moment I've, held her, you know what I mean? Because I can remember from beginning to now, like I've seen every step of the way. So that's what makes me love the process. I love my child. I see them grow. Like, holy shit, you can do algebra now? Like, damn. Like, holy shit.
Right.
That age, the age you're at, you're doing algebra? Holy crap. Like, I didn't learn algebra until like 8th, going to 9th grade. Like, our times are different.
Right.
Kids, again, have higher education than we got Common Core, which is, I don't really agree with Common Core. We won't get into that. But yeah, it's different times that information for the kids are more accessible now.
Yeah, man, and yeah, I think that I think that's a good point. The idea that like it continues to grow, because it's like even when I look back at, I remember when I first held my daughter when she was born, and it was such a surreal thing. And I think that's maybe what I mean about it. Is like, it was such a surreal thing for me, where it was like, oh, this is my kid. And I knew that like, there was this love. Like, even I remember like calling someone and trying to tell them that she was born. And it just like, I could not start crying. You know what I mean? It just, even, so it's like I knew it was there, but I definitely think that there was this like, just this, getting used to it. And maybe that's what I mean when I say like the fall in love. It's like getting used to your kid, getting used to kind of that space that they require, because like you had mentioned, you are maybe, I won't say self-involved, but you're more singularly focused. Maybe if you're in a couple, you're two-person focused, and now your everything in your world is changing, and you have to kind of learn to create that space. As you start to think about, we talk about a lot of different things, and you talk about like the patience and the training and things like that. So what's the lesson that, I think there's certain lessons that you hope your kid grasps, but you can't fully teach them, right? You can't prepare them for it. You just have to hope they find it. So do you have, what's that you're hoping that she learns to just grasp sooner rather than later?
I think for her would be to learn how to create your own routine. Mike Tyson said it. He said, discipline is doing something that you don't like, but you act like you love it. And to create
that's a good one.
To create a discipline in what you want to do in a routine just makes you better. And it's been proven for a fact, right? Statistically speaking, successful people, financially successful people that are genuinely happy have a routine. They have a routine they have the routine for family, they have the routine for work, routine for personal stuff, routine for health, And then, obviously it's life. You just go along as it is and kind of change things up, but just learning to accept the routine and just be the best version of yourself while you're doing it. That's my dad advice.
That's your dad advice. Okay. No, I think that's perfect advice, man. So, I think that's a great note to end on. So I wanna thank you for being my first guest on this show. We've worked together on a number of things, man, and I've always appreciated you as a brother and as a friend. And I think that you are a wonderful father. I've seen you in action and just knowing you. So, I just want to say thank you, man. I love you. And thanks for being my first guest on I Hate My Kids. Obviously, we don't hate our kids, you can tell. But yeah, man, thanks for, trusting me with this story and agreeing to be part of this with me, man.
Man, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Shared sentiment. I'm looking forward to see more episodes of the show with different guests and, getting different people's perspectives, just kind of hear their story. Because a lot of times we don't hear the real story. We just hear always like the acolytes and the achievements. That's it. We don't get to hear like what's not working, what is working, So, but I definitely appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you too, man. And thank you for listening. This has been the first episode of I Hate My Kids. I'm Joseph Carter Brown. Thank you to Shaolin Fantastic for joining us. And until next time, be well. Thank you so much once again for listening. Please subscribe, like, follow on whatever podcasting platform you're using. If you have any inquiries or comments, feel free to reach out to me at ihmk@dosomething.design and let me know what you thought about the show. If you have any questions, or just send me spam. I don't know. This has been a DoSomething.design production. All audio edited by me, Joseph Carter Brown. Intro music is Beat 10 by the Open Music Archive. And exit music is The Georgia Stomp by DJ Assault. Both are licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license, available at creativecommons.org/licenses/by-SA/4.0.